It began with ambition, the kind that rewrites Wall Street. A few men in tailored suits sat around a table in a nondescript Manhattan office. No champagne, no headlines, just quiet calculations and a hunger for something bigger than themselves. That room, that moment, would give birth to an empire, but not the one they expected. This is the story of how Blackstone accidentally created BlackRock, how the world's largest asset manager was born from a failed dream, a power struggle, and a gamble that would haunt one of its creators forever. In the 1980s, Steve Schwarzman and Pete Peterson had a vision. They'd left Lehman Brothers and formed Blackstone, a firm that would eventually become synonymous with power and private equity. But in those early days, they needed a bond investment arm, something steady, something smart. They turned to a man with a reputation for obsessive precision, Larry Fink. Fink had been a rising star at First Boston. He helped pioneer mortgage-backed securities. Yes, those. He made hundreds of millions for the firm until one trade went south. In 1986, a miscalculation cost First Boston $100 million, and Fink lost everything: his credibility, his job, and his confidence, but not his drive. Blackstone gave him a second chance. Fink and 7 others formed Blackstone Financial Management. It was housed inside Blackstone, but it wasn't private equity. It was about asset management, risk, data, and technology, an approach no one else was using. Fink insisted on one thing: total control over his team. Schwarzman agreed. For a while, it worked. The group was sharp, profitable. Fink, in his usual sleepless fashion, obsessed over risk management and built a system that outclassed the industry. But Steve Schwarzman had a problem. Fink was getting too big, too powerful. And worse, he had a different vision. Fink wanted to expand. Schwarzman didn't like the idea of owning a mutual fund business. The cultures clashed: private equity swagger versus investment management caution. Steve believed in sharp elbows and killer instincts. Larry believed in analytics, systems, and a little less flash. And then it happened. In 1994, the two made a deal. Blackstone would spin off Fink's group into a separate firm. They'd retain a stake, but Fink would have control. And just like that, BlackRock was born. At first, no one saw the magnitude of what had just happened. BlackRock was tiny, just $23 billion under management. But Fink had a plan. He would build a firm that never lost a client, never took too much risk, and never forgot 1986. As BlackRock grew, it devoured rivals. In 2006, it acquired Merrill Lynch Investment Managers. Then in 2009, amid the wreckage of the financial crisis, BlackRock pulled off the unthinkable. It acquired Barclays Global Investors, making it the largest asset manager in the world. Suddenly, BlackRock wasn't just managing money, it was managing the system itself. ETFs, index funds, pension plans, sovereign wealth, even government bailouts. BlackRock was everywhere. By 2024, it held nearly $10 trillion in assets. That's more than the GDP of Japan, more than the entire U.S. federal budget. If it were a country, it'd be the 3rd largest economy on Earth. And Steve Schwarzman? He watched it all happen from a distance. Here's the twist. Schwarzman didn't keep his stake. Over the years, Blackstone sold off its shares in BlackRock, slowly, quietly. And in 2008, the final thread was cut. Blackstone and BlackRock, once partners, were now competitors. Schwarzman had lost the firm that could have made him the most powerful figure in global finance. Worse still, Fink built something Schwarzman couldn't control, a financial infrastructure that governments rely on. When COVID hit, the U.S. Federal Reserve tapped BlackRock to help stabilize markets. Not Blackstone, not Goldman, BlackRock. But there's irony, too. Fink never forgot where he came from. He still carries that 1986 failure. He still avoids risk like the plague. His empire is built not on bravado, but fear, and it works. And Steve? He built Blackstone into a behemoth of its own. Real estate, private equity, infrastructure. He still wins, just on a different battlefield. But the shadow of BlackRock looms. Always. By the end of this tale, one thing becomes clear. Sometimes your greatest creation is the one you let slip away. Not by accident, but by underestimating what it could become. So next time you see the BlackRock logo on a fund, an ETF, or a government contract, remember, it started in a forgotten room at Blackstone. It started with a man who lost it all and another who thought he had all the control. And now, the world dances to the tune of the firm Blackstone never meant to unleash.